Good morning to everyone, and God bless. This morning we had the Steve Taylor Community Connection Show, and I am so pleased. Let me tell you, when my boss man is here, I have so much more confidence. You know what I mean? Because I know if I don't get it right, he's gonna tell me after. But anyway, we have Mr. Steve Taylor there.
Hello.
Thanks, boss, for joining us.
Absolutely.
And we have the queen, my sister, Miss Rhonda Sewell.
Thank you.
From Toledo Museum of Art. Rhonda, how you doing today?
I am doing wonderful, sitting between two community leaders here, so I'm doing wonderful.
You know, we really appreciate you coming in. It's such an honor. It really, really is. You know, we were supposed to be up here in the studio like 15 minutes ago. Me and Rhonda downstairs and my boss Steve, and everybody at our dealership is stopping and saying, "Oh my God, that's Rhonda Sewell. Oh my God, she's a superstar." So, you know, it took us a while to get here, right?
It really did, but I don't know about the superstar part, but I
Right.
do know that I cash app them secretly to do that. So, no, I think one of the things that you're seeing is my long-time commitment to
Yes.
community.
Yes.
And so I've really established, and I take it very seriously, my integrity, to establish a real trust with community.
Right.
And they know that I have their back and they have my back.
Right.
So what you saw was just my reach,
Right.
everyone. So we have to keep
Absolutely.
stopping and taking pictures
Right,
and all
right.
of that. But the superstar part, I don't
Yeah.
claim that, but I do claim my power of relationships.
Absolutely. You
Yeah.
know the analogy that you and I use very often, right? Because of our experience and length of time in the community.
Exactly.
You know, you were doing this way before I even was in this country. You know, I was still
Yeah.
overseas. But this is what we say. We say it all the time.
Yeah.
You better put some respect on my name.
Yeah,
Right?
I was in grad school actually in London, England. We were both
Yes.
have a lot of overseas,
Right.
experience. And I was in grad school studying international journalism. And my professor was the Blade newspaper's European
Wow.
bureau chief. I don't know if
I
you've
remember-
ever heard the
I
story.
remember reading
Ferdinand
that.
Aubergenois, and he said, "You need to be writing, like you need to
Right.
be working." So after grad school, I started at the Blade at the tender age of 21,
Wow.
and ended up working there 18 years as a reporter. So I had a whole life of journalism before all of the other iterations of my career.
Well, we're going to kick it off, Mr. Steve. Let's get into a little bit of our collaboration with the Toledo Museum of Art,
Sure,
and
sure.
we'll go from there.
So the museum is a big passion of my dad's. My mom and dad spent a lot of time down at the museum. My dad's been on the board for a number of years, speaks very highly of you, enjoys working with you.
Yes.
And you know, it's a sort of a legacy gift that he wanted to give to the museum in honor of my mom. Really, was the free parking. It was great. It was on social media, it was on the news. The Blade picked it
Yes.
up, so it was a really neat thing. And you didn't realize how much it meant to people. And I don't know, like we said off air, I don't know if it was the dollar amount that people didn't want to spend the extra money, or if it was just the hassle of having to wait in line, and sometimes the machine didn't work and things like that. But there were so many folks that reached out and said, "Man, thanks so much for what you did. It's just one more way to give back." And it's the museum's such a treasure.
Yes.
And I think there's so many folks that live in Toledo that don't realize, how special the museum is. And so we're hoping that with this gift, that maybe more people will go out and take a look at the museum and see what everything it has to offer, really.
Yeah, thank you so much. I want to just, on behalf of the Toledo Museum of Art, really thank the Taylor Automotive family for your long legacy of altruism, for philanthropy. You guys are the real deal when it comes to
Thank you.
community, and it's really
Appreciate
selfless. It's selfless, and that's what I love so much about Taylor. And your dad is one of those, beloved former board members and still active donors. With this particular donation, it really did a lot. Like, some of the points that you hit on are so very true, but other parts that people don't really realize, we're smack dab in the middle, and we look at this, a 2-mile radius around us are 5 very underserved neighborhoods. So what that gift did was also break barriers. So now people who, with money and transportation, were an issue, now it's not.
Right.
And one of the things that people don't know about the museum is, since 1901, its founding, and since the building was established in 1912, we've always been free to
Right.
get in.
Right. Which is a
You
shame.
know,
And
which
a lot of people don't know
they
that.
Right,
don't know
They
that.
don't
They're
know
like,
that.
oh, I
Right.
can't afford to go to the museum.
Right.
Yes, you can.
Right.
It's always
Yeah,
free
yeah.
entry. There are some special exhibitions
Sure.
that may cost money, so I just want to be very transparent about that. But even with those, we have scholarships so people can have access. But it really aligns with our entire strategic plan. With the museum's strategic plan, we want to eliminate barriers of, lack of access.
Right.
And if it's a financial burden, then having a donor
Yes.
like your dad,
Yes.
who, I mean, this is a game changer,
Right.
actually. Like, I came in one day and the gate was up, and I was like, oh, that's right. We don't even have to push our little badge or our fob in there anymore
Sure.
because everything is free, So it's really a game changer. Your dad is so supportive of the mission and values. We want to just integrate art into the lives of people. That is our mission. And that's what we've done. And we can do it more so because now parking is not a barrier. Yeah,
great.
yeah.
We'll talk about the museum a little bit because
Yes.
unfortunately I think it's a hidden gem.
Yes.
And we've got to get rid of that.
Yeah.
It should just be a gem of
Yes.
Toledo.
Yes.
But talk a little bit about maybe what's going on now and some things that people might want to come out and check out.
Big things happening. Big, major things happening with the Toledo Museum of Art. One of the things I'm really grateful for, so I came in 2021 as its Director of Belonging, which is, I think is the coolest title that you can ever imagine. It's like, what are you? I'm Director of Fun, But Director of Belonging
Right.
is so cool because it really denotes someone who wants to operationalize the museum's access, welcome people
Right.
in who maybe have never visited the museum. Now my title is still, I still deal with belonging, that whole concept, but I also am Director of Advocacy now.
Okay.
So that's more governmental affairs. So
Sure.
getting funding from the state and the feds. A lot of people don't know we have a really large endowment that primarily takes care of art acquisitions,
Right.
purchasing art. However, we're still
Right.
501c3,
Right. Yep.
and so we have to raise money the old-fashioned way from generous donors. And so I'm the person that's going out there, building relationships, advocating for funding from the state capital budget dollars, from the federal grants and things
Sure.
of that sort. So I'm dealing with all the politicians.
behind the
yeah,
scenes.
the
Right.
politicians. I always tell people my job is not that sexy. I'm like advocating for plumbing funding and things like that,
Right.
infrastructure dollars, right? But the one thing that I want to reveal, and you'll hear more about this in the media, is we are launching something called Transformation 2027. Now we just celebrated the new year with 2025,
Sure,
right?
right.
Well, this is called Transformation 2027, and you've seen some teaser articles. There's been an article in the Blade about this, but we really haven't gone totally public with this. We've launched already a capital campaign to support an entire reinstallation of the museum.
Wow.
Now, when I say reinstallation, that means taking everything out
Yeah.
Right.
and putting things in a new way.
Okay.
There'll be some construction. We really want to save jobs. So most museums, when they go through this big of a reinstallation or reinterpretation or transformation
Right.
of their museum, they close down for about a couple of years,
Okay.
totally. And then everyone is like, go. And then in
Right.
2 more years, when everything is shiny and new, they try to get people back. We're not going to do that.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
We are going to partially close certain parts of the museum that are under construction, and then keep the East Wing might be down, but West Wing is still open to the public. The peristyle will still be open.
Right.
The family center will still be open for all those kiddies that come in, and our beautiful glass pavilion, which is located across the street, which has a lot of weddings.
Right,
I
right,
know
right,
one of your
yes,
staff members
yes,
is a
yes.
photographer and comes there a lot. Weddings, community events, that's still going to be open. But what you're going to see, we have a schematic design already, and it's in 3D video.
Okay.
You should see
Nice.
what's
I haven't
coming.
seen it. Okay.
What is coming next is really amazing.
Wow.
And it really I always say, yes, this is for future generation, but
Yes.
it's for the now.
Absolutely.
As well. It's for the now. And we just want to make sure that we're telling a story of art. We want to do it this time from a chronological standpoint. So you come in with your kids, your grandkids, you're going to see 16th, 17th century and 18th, 19th
Beautiful.
century. It's going to tell a whole story of art. And this is what I love the most. It's going to demonstrate a global interconnectedness of how art is all combined, how we need each other. Different countries need each other to produce some of the greatest artwork that we've ever seen. There was trade going on.
Right.
Like
Wow.
Italy was getting that ivory from Africa.
Okay,
And you know, Lisbon was
So
getting.
they were collaborating.
They were collaborating for
Yes.
so many centuries ago.
Wow.
Even in the medieval times, there was
That's
trade
beautiful.
going on. And to produce these works of art that we see now, and people don't know that story. So we're going to also tell that
That's
story with this new and improved Transformation 2027. And you know, we've heard at least a couple of naysayers out there about the museum doesn't need to change. Yet our
Yes.
community has to change,
Right,
you
right.
know. But
Absolutely.
the one thing that I love about this community is the collaboration, the partnership between Taylor and the museum.
Right.
You know, collaboration has always been our strong suit
Right.
in this community, and I just can't wait for people to see it. And guess what? When this all happens in 2027 and it's revealed, we'll have free parking and it'll be free entry to
That's
get
right.
in.
That's
And
right.
nothing will change when it comes
Absolutely.
to
Yeah,
that.
right.
So
And it'll be
Yeah.
a complete transformation.
complete transformation, and I just can't
Beautiful.
wait for people to see that.
Oh, I can't wait. That's
Yeah,
gonna be great.
yeah.
So you've had some neat exhibits in the
Yeah.
last few years, and you've brought in some out of town folks. We've
Yes.
done some things with local artists.
Yeah.
Is there something that stands out to you that says, you know, this was so special and you got to see it, or you know, maybe something that you can share with the viewers?
Yeah, I think, there's no favorite exhibition because they're all
Yeah,
just
they're all great. I know.
amazing. They're
Who's your
amazing.
favorite kid, right?
That's
You can't-
right.
you
That's
can't
right. And I have twins,
Yeah,
so
you
that's
can't
really
do
hard
that.
for me to
Yeah.
do. Like, what's your favorite? But the one thing I want to point out to your viewers is we now have a community gallery. And when I was hired in, I was assigned as the objective lead on that. So
Right.
I oversaw the completion of that with my teammates. We have a sort of agile model of collaboration where we take all staff members, put them in a group, and put them on a project.
Nice.
You know, and it's really, really cool. We'll have someone from facilities, someone from HR,
Beautiful.
someone from, you know, it doesn't matter where
Right.
you work. We all are a team and we're doing this. So the community gallery debuted a couple of years ago from another very philanthropic family, the Savages,
Sure.
Yes.
you know, Robert and Susan Savage. And now we have an opportunity for local artists
Right.
to display their work in a world-class museum. And it is the only gallery where we allow artwork for sale.
Wow.
So we're like maybe on our fourth or fifth exhibit, and local artists who have exhibited there for 3 or 4 months have made a lot of money
Oh,
because
wonderful.
we have people from all over the world that visit the museum,
Mhm.
and they come in and they walk through the community gallery like, wait a minute, these are for sale.
Yeah.
And you know what they do, Steve? I'll take that,
Yeah, yeah,
that, and that. And the local
That is
artist
so
is like,
good.
what is
Right,
going
right.
on here? You know, I've struggled. I've
Right.
been the poor artist, you know,
Right,
for
right.
forever, and I've not been able to sell my work. But here in the museum,
That is such
because
a
of
huge-
exposure, it's the
Yes,
exposure.
yes.
And art is subjective,
Right.
you know, and it has been so amazing to see that. And a lot of the artists, we ask them to give back to the community and to the museum
Okay.
with their time.
Sure.
Not so much with their treasure,
Right.
but with their time. So they taught classes
Oh,
to
that's great.
kiddies
Yeah.
about whatever technique that they
This is
do.
beautiful.
And I think that community gallery, it's not an exhibition, but that community gallery is near and dear to
Yeah.
my heart because a lot of museums don't have
Right,
something
right.
like that. I mean, you can go right up to Detroit and there's not a community gallery
Right.
in the major museums.
And we,
so.
we need to continue to encourage, you know, people that we work with every day,
Yeah.
people that we're affiliated, people that we know, it's about chance and opportunity.
Yeah, for sure.
It's about chance and opportunity.
For sure.
And that is what you did for these local artists.
Yeah, it was a team effort. I think the other part of your question, Steve, is one of the things that really excites me is we've brought in curators who are consulting curators and to kind of expand our collection. So now we have a Native American curator.
Wow.
Like, I call Toledo home, but I was raised in Michigan, and even the names of the streets or the names of the cities are all Native American, Tecumseh and all of these kinds of things. And now to really curate our collection in Native American artwork is just profound to me. And we have
one of the reasons why the museum is as well known and, stands out amongst other museums because of things like that.
Exactly. And our director, Adam Levine, is really a visionary. He really takes chances, and one of the things I like about his leadership is he likes to say, I'm going to stay in my lane because I don't know about community like you know about community. He always says, just tell me where I need to be. But he allows us to lead, his leadership team. He allows us to lead. He weighs in on his extreme knowledge of art and preservation and business. He's one of the art leaders who knows business as well. And he really had the vision of expanding his curation team to have now the first ever, African art curator, Asian curator, and all of these kinds of exhibitions just really expand our knowledge as far as visitation is concerned. So when we go through these galleries and we see all of this ancient Asian art, we get to learn a little bit more, about our world. And it's just really a visionary time. And if I did, I said I don't have a favorite, but if I were to say one that really struck me, well, now it's two, was our Ethiopian exhibit. This was a real, first time exhibit of all of this Ethiopian, both ancient and modern art combined, and even digital art, because we have a digital art residency, which we could talk for hours about. But that was a really profound and large exhibition. And then the other one was the great Jacob Lawrence exhibit. It was called Black Orpheus. And this was, Jacob Lawrence is a really well-known African-American artist, but a lot of people don't know that he did a sabbatical in Africa and produced things that don't even look like Jacob Lawrence. I'm like, was he having an out-of-body experience in Africa? Like, what happened? But the artwork was so profound, and we got busloads of people from everywhere because Jacob Lawrence, like a Van Gogh, is beloved, in the art world and among collectors who really know art. And so that was, and we were only one of 3 museums to get that collection. And so that says a lot about our reputation outside. And we are working, we're hunting for a director of marketing right now. And we really want to expand that story so people can now say, yes, this is a treasure in my town, but it's also a museum, an institution that's been here for a very, very long time, that is accessible now because of parking and entry, but also that is a world-class museum. We have one of the top collections in the entire country. We have one of everything. Cezanne, Van Gogh, Picasso, Kehinde Wiley, Elizabeth Catlett, you name it. We have one, at least one, and sometimes multiple. And it really, I think, bespeaks of the directors even prior to Adam Levine, who were very careful in their curation and very careful in their vision of what they wanted this museum to be, and even the founders, the Libby, a lot of people don't know the connection with Libby Glass and the founder, Edward Drummond Libby, and Florence Scott, huge name, Scott High School, all of these things. Florence Scott, they married, and they were the visionaries behind the Toledo Museum of Art with some of their friends. And I saw a 1916, I think, Blade newspaper article about the museum, and that was the museum was erected in 1912, the building was, and it said built by the people for the people.
Beautiful.
And I think that could be on a t-shirt
Right,
today,
yeah,
you know,
absolutely,
so
absolutely.
that's really what the museum is about.
And that was in 1916?
Yeah, 1916
Wow.
Blade article.
So
yeah.
the vision was already
Yeah,
there.
it was already there, yeah.
Wow.
And they always wanted it to be accessible for the community. They defined belonging back before it became a fashionable
Right.
word.
Right.
You know, in our modern times, they really conceptualized, you know, we want this to be for everybody. And that's what they did. I mean, kids used to just run around the museum back then, you know, so, yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
We could sit and talk
Oh,
all
we
day,
could, we could.
especially about the
Yes,
history
yes.
and that vision that they had,
Yes.
you know, 100 plus years ago.
Mhm.
But I'd be remiss without asking you about Unruly Arts. It's I think
Oh.
near and dear to both our hearts. We're
Yes.
actively
All
involved.
three of us.
Yeah, Terry too. I know
Yeah.
Joan.
Yes.
Obviously,
Yes.
she's one of our ambassadors, and she does so much with Unruly Arts. But I think there's a little bit of collaboration now with the museum.
Yes.
One of their artists did a really neat painting last year that my dad bought during the auction.
Yes.
And it was so neat, and he gave it to Adam.
He did.
And you know, it was of the museum, the
Yes.
permanent museum.
Yes.
But I think Joan said now that they're actually selling that down, copies of it down at the museum.
So let me tell you how this worked. So I work in the director's office, okay? So it hangs on the wall. It's so cool. I love Unruly Arts. I have a stepbrother who has developmental challenges. And so Unruly Arts is really near and dear to my heart. So a friend of mine, and you guys know her, Kristen Kaiser, who owns Black Kite Coffee. She's just such an amazing person, and we're on the board together of the Arts Commission. And she gave me a coffee mug just as a gift. You know, she goes, I looked at this and I thought of the museum, and it had the Stegosaurus, you know, the red, beautiful sculpture.
Right.
We internally call him Steggy, but it's a dinosaur. A lot of people don't know that. That's a dinosaur. It's called a Stegosaurus is the name. And so Steggy was on the cover of this mug. And I said, this looks so familiar, this image. And she goes, I got it from Unruly Arts, and here's a little bit about the artist who did it. And I'm like, oh, I love Unruly Arts. So I go in the next morning, I'm like, look at this mug. Doesn't this look familiar? And they said, Rhonda, the image that Mr. Taylor gave is hanging right on the wall of your image on the coffee mug. And I said, we need to sell these, you know. So it was myself and one of the executive assistants who got the ball rolling on bringing it into the store.
Okay.
And then I was telling Terry on our way up here that I'm co-leading a belonging symposium in April, and we're gonna have tech folks, innovators, people who are really into access and inclusion, all these people coming and descending upon the museum. And we are purchasing all of our speaker gifts from Unruly Arts for this. But we are so proud of that collaboration.
Yes.
And it really also, I don't know if you two know this, we are the first major museum to hire a access manager. So that means she is really focused on persons with disabilities, access, sensory issues. She herself is a person with a disability. She has also a service dog, Petunia, who forgets that she's a service dog with all of the co-workers. And Petunia has a little badge also that says staff.
Oh, nice. That's so nice.
But yeah, but we take access really seriously, and persons with disabilities, not only the physical, you know, accessing this old classical, neoclassical building, but we also are looking at sensory and inclusion, and also a way for people to make money as well who are persons with disabilities. There are a lot of financial challenges, so now, you know, they get a cut of what we make in the store, you know, from selling their goods. So it all comes full circle.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it all
great.
does. Yeah.
I think it's a wonderful collaboration.
Yes.
Great organization tied in.
And I see your support of Unruly Arts, because as I was walking in, I said, Terry, am I free to take pictures of the artwork? You know, I've been trained. I'm in the museum, so I always ask for permission. But he said, yes, Steve makes sure that he puts these pieces, and he's acquired these pieces from Unruly Art. So I took a lot of pictures. So thank you for your
Oh
support.
yeah, they're great. We love them. We display them down in the showroom.
Really
so,
great
yeah,
art.
fun stuff.
Yeah.
Well, we can't thank you enough for
Oh,
coming
thank
in today.
you both. Thank
It's been
you.
great. It's been a few years. You were here when you were still with the library.
I
And,
know.
so you do so much for our community. And
I know.
obviously, as a journalist for almost 20 years.
I know. It's
you
like
are-
I won't say ancient, I'll say seasoned. But
all right,
my
right.
girls say I've been around since the dinosaurs. But I was at the library for 15 years.
Yeah,
after
right.
my 18-year career at the Blade,
yes.
and then with the museum for 4 years. So
Fantastic. Well,
yeah.
Congratulations.
I use good
It's
cold
amazing.
cream.
There you go. Well, we appreciate all you do for the community.
Thank
you so much for
Thank
coming
you,
in.
Steve. Thank you, Terry.
You're
Thanks
welcome,
everybody for
sweetheart.
tuning in to another one of Steve Taylor's Community Connections. We'll see you next time. Have a good one.